Welcome to this neighborhood, neighbor. I am the Martian ambassador.
Des Moines and all of Central Iowa, welcome to Max World Live. Max World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Max World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Max World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
Good afternoon, 6 minutes after the hour on the 10th day of February in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Thanks for tuning in today. It's Max World Live here on The Truth, 99.3 FM. If this is the first time, for whatever reason, you have chosen to check us out, don't get your expectations too high. We're kind of a simple show. Rather transparent. A lot of people participate. A lot of people work hard to make this thing happen. We talk about Iowa. We talk about what's going on under your nose. Obviously, right now, we talk a little bit about the national politics. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because you expect us to. You know, if you're a diehard political fan, then you're probably tuning into somebody who's pontificating on and on and on and on and on and on and on about politics, and we don't do that. First of all, I'm not a pontificator. What's a pontificator? Someone who sits alone in a radio studio and talks all day long. Rush Limbaugh is a pontificator. I think that's great. I'm not that talented. I need good quality. You see, I don't operate under the Peter Principle. You remember the Peter Principle? I bet you've worked in an office or someplace where somebody worked within what they call the Peter Principle. And that is that you hire everybody that you hire around you is not as good as you. So you always look good. But eventually the averages catch up with you and you fail. But for a while, you did pretty good because you interviewed well, your resume looked nice, or whatever reason you got hired. Around here, I do the opposite. I surround myself with people who are much more talented than I. Ryan's producing. He knows more about this stuff than I do, of course. Bob Montserrat and the Cat in the Hat watching the chat and the Service Legends Truth Test Talk line at 809-0993. He's a 35-year CSI guy. He's a scientist. Is that right if you're a scientist?
Yes.
Okay.
Forensic scientist.
Forensic science. And that means you take care of you. Forensics mean dead. No?
It means science that deals with law.
Law? Really?
Sure. Within the criminal justice system.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. You're one of those. And then, of course, Frank Thomas, IQ. Do we know what had you ever had your IQ tested?
No, not really.
I'll bet your IQ is pretty high. Higher than mine, I'm sure. And Chris Roloff is supposed to be here, but I don't know where he is. He's doing something somewhere, so we just let him go. And we are having now listen to this. This is old-fashioned radio. Radio is almost 100 years old. And technology has not done a lot for radio because radio was so far ahead of technology. I mean, now we do things with wires. Radio's wireless. We sit here in a studio and talk into these little cans that we call microphones. And people much smarter than I, like Leonard, our engineer, the sound goes from here through the soundboard and then out a cable and then up to the tower and transmitter, into the transmitter and up a tower and then into your radio. I don't know how it works. I mean, I can tell you how it works, but I really don't know how it works. I know somebody says turn on the light. I can say, I can do that. And then I go over and hit the switch, but I don't know how it works. But today we have no technology in the studio today. For some reason, we don't have any internet. Are you on yet?
I'm on.
Barely?
Well, I'm on the...
Okay. So Bob is watching the chat and watching the Service Legends Truth Text Talk line. at 809-0993. I don't have any internet here. And so today you just get us. At 4:06, you get Ryan Jorgensen, Pastor Ryan Jorgensen from Harvest Bible Chapel, and he's a little bent out of shape. I texted him this morning. I said, what do you want to talk about? And he texted me an article about this bill that they're looking at to it gives you the right to end your own life. So what do you think about that? Should you have the right to end your own life? And obviously what it does is it gives someone permission and the ability to help you. I mean, you can already end your own life if you want to, but if you'd like to not do it by a rope or a gun or a hose connected to the exhaust on your car in the garage, like to do it in the comfort of a hospice or a hospital or your doctor's office or maybe even in your home, they're considering a bill to allow us to do that.
Is Jack Kevorkian still alive?
No, he's not. But he went to prison for helping people kill themselves. So that'd be kind of weird if all of a sudden they okay it. He couldn't get grandfathered in, though, because he's passed away. So that's what we're going to do at 4 o'clock. Right now, we want to give you a couple updates here on the presidential campaign. You probably already know this. Carla Fiorina is out. She's done. Kaput, finished. And, I don't want to be Ted Cruz here when I do this, but there are some indications that, you know what, I'm not even going to say it because another candidate may drop out. But there's been no confirmation from the Associated Press yet. So for all I know, it's just a bunch of smoke on the internet or on the wires or whatever.
You talking about Chris Christie? Well, I heard him say something last night that I can verify. I heard him say.
What did he say?
He said him and his wife was going to go home. They was going to reevaluate their money situation, and he was going to see where he stacked up in the polls last night. He didn't say he was dropping out, but he said he was going to go home and take a serious look at his campaign.
Okay. I've got a New York Times article. Chris Christie plans to drop out after New Hampshire flop. Now, says Governor Chris Christie of New Jersey, once commanding figure of the Republican Party. Well, they just talks about his Rubio thing. He told allies that he plans to suspend his campaign, according to two people briefed on his intentions.
All right. Because he came in, what, 8th, 7th?
I think he had 8%.
Well, it was Trump, Cruz, Bush.
No, it was Kasich.
Oh, Trump, Kasich, Cruz, Bush, and then Rubio.
I thought, okay, Rubio was after Bush, huh?
Yes. Yeah, Jeb Bush beat Rubio.
If you remember a couple of years ago, Chris Christie was the media darling because he took no guff, no sass from the media, and everybody thought that he was pretty much the front runner to go against Hillary. This is probably 2 to 3 years ago, until he ran into Bridgegate, supposedly. And that's all being still fought, whether he knew about it or he didn't know about it. But when Trump got in the race, everybody just kind of went to Trump because Trump's a no-nonsense guy also. So that just kind of took the oxygen out of the room for Chris Christie. So he never really had a chance other than torpedoing Rubio the other night in Saturday night's debate. It didn't help him because he's only been polling 2 or 3% since he got in the race, announced for getting in the race. So he really didn't do anything this campaign season except damage Rubio.
Carson came in last. So you had Trump, Kasich, Cruz, Bush, Rubio, Chris Christie, Fiorino,
and Carson.
Fiorino, yeah, and then Carson. Well, so now we're down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so if those three are gone, then we're down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's, see, I don't see Bush getting out.
No, he won't get out at least till Florida. He super, like you say, Super Tuesday. And then, I don't know, is Florida on Super Tuesday?
Florida is on the first Super Tuesday or the second one. Florida's the second Super Tuesday because it's Florida, Ohio, and one other state.
Well, he won't get out at least until Florida.
To see how he does his own state.
Yeah, but supposedly Trump is outpolling both Rubio and Cruz. Bush's hope is that a bunch of these people like Kasich and Christie will fold up and their support will go to him, but they're not polling that much support, so I don't know what Bush would really pick up.
Yeah, if he got all of Chris Christie's, all of Fiorino's, and all of Carson's, he might have 6 more points. And, that would put him in front of Cruz. But, and let's remember that Kasich spent all of his time in New Hampshire. He spent very little time here. He was at 165. He was there 64 days, and he was there. He was at 165 events, including town halls. So it doesn't surprise me that he did that well.
Plus, New Hampshire has a last bit of what they call a liberal Republican.
Huh? Oh, you mean the Republicans there are a little liberal?
They're liberal Republicans. It's the last bastion of probably liberal Republicans in the country, and Kasich appeals to those type of voters. Strong on fiscal things, but not keen on social issues.
Yeah, all right. All right, when we come back, there's a new theater opening, and it's different. It's not just a regular theater. I mean, theaters have come to the next level. It's like sitting at home. Floor-to-ceiling, wall-to-wall screens, and literally leather lounge chairs. With the footy thing comes up. Also has a full bar and a full restaurant. That's opening in Altoona. We'll talk about that and surprise the heck out of everybody. Peter County, a Republican from West Des Moines, has entered a bill into the Iowa legislature to approve medical marijuana. Why? Yeah, there's a reason. We'll talk about it when we come back. Good afternoon. It's about 18 minutes after the hour on a snowy Wednesday afternoon in Mac's World on The Truth, 99.3.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on 3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rockland Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockland Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Good afternoon, 21 minutes after the hour. Light snow falling in the area. Temperature is a little higher today, not that bitterly zero and below zero that we had a couple nights ago. So we are heading for some warmer temperatures ahead, so that's good news. All right, let's go to the state legislature, where a House Republican introduced a bill today that would allow some Iowans to legally access cannabis oil, medical cannabis oil, from producers and distributors in the state. In 2014, lawmakers legalized the use of cannabis oil for people with chronic conditions of epilepsy. And then Democrats in the state tried and failed to expand the access to medical cannabis oil. Now in 2016, House Representative Peter County, Republican, West Des Moines, is proposing a bill that would bring cannabis oil production and sales into Iowa. Production and sales. I think that's the key. We have a law on the books that allows you to possess it, but you can't get it. Yeah, that's really dumb. I agree with him. We have a conflict, and my hope is that we can resolve that. And yeah, it's a bipartisan matter, that issue, whether it's epilepsy or it's a other number of ailments. It's a bipartisan issue. This affects Democrats and Republicans, and my hope is to have bipartisan support for the bill. Well, one of the reasons that county is doing this, I'm just gonna guess, but I think I'm close. One of the guys that's really been pushing for this is West Des Moines Mayor Gare. I believe that's how you say his name, Gare. And that's because his own child needs this, or if had this.
Correct.
And Mayor Ware and Mr. County are friends.
Well, I'm wondering if this medical marijuana bill, the new one that they're proposing, is just for the oil.
It's just for the oil. It says right here that doctors would prescribe the oil to patients with epilepsy as well as other illnesses. County says the bill does not allow a marijuana to be smoked and does not allow for recreational use.
Okay, so they're looking at the component within marijuana, which is inactive. THC, which is tetrahydrocannabinol, that's the active ingredient that causes the effect that most people look for when they smoke it.
Is that fair to say that's an hallucinogen?
Hallucinogen in high levels and high amounts, it could be hallucinogenic. But for most of the time, it's kind of a sedative type effect. And but if you're looking at the oil just contains cannabidiol. It is one of the components that are within the marijuana plant that is psychologically inactive.
Okay.
And so they've done studies, and they've worked with people that would, for the mayor of West Des Moines, I believe his child has epileptic fits, and so they're having seizures all the time, and they've shown through research that the oil, cannabidiol, reduces that or eliminates.
Frank?
Well, this goes into play in your theory of the slippery slope, and these things are generally, I have no problem with helping people with epileptic seizures, but this is all being pushed by the recreational users that usually back these efforts because they want full-on, recreational use like Colorado. So generally speaking, I'm like Bradshaw a little bit in this sense, and that's a strange thing to say. Let's have that conversation and quit throwing up the red herrings of the medical use of marijuana, because let's just have the conversation about full-blown use.
Yeah, Bob, maybe you can help us with this. I don't know a lot about. I admit but I didn't inhale. No, I used
You
to
were on a
smoke
very
dope.
famous bus, though, once.
Huh?
You were
Yeah,
on a very
I was.
famous bus once.
Yeah, I was. I was in Branson, Missouri. Oh, my gosh. This was probably 1990.
Yeah.
And I don't even think CJ and I were married yet. And we were down in Branson at an old theater. And I never hid, especially in Branson, that I was a country music guy and
Sure.
radio station. And it was a Willie Nelson concert. And so I got invited onto his bus, and I smoked weed with Willie.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. So, I'm not really, alcohol was my main deal. I was never big into anything else. I tried cocaine a couple times, and I thought that was just foolish. Who wants me more hyped up? I mean, seriously. It's like drinking caffeine.
Yeah.
But I've never understood why the marijuana carries such a stigma when we have tobacco at high levels, we have alcohol, we have, and let's just admit it, prescription drugs that can just make you happy as heck. Well, I asked that question once to someone, I don't remember who it was, this was years ago on the radio, and he said it was all about illegal immigration. That back in the late 1800s and early 1900s, they did not want Latinos, Mexicans, running over the border. And so they made pot illegal, thinking that would dampen the illegal immigration. Well, tell me how that's working.
Right.
I never heard of that.
You never heard
I've
that?
never heard of that explanation.
Have you heard of something, Frank?
Oh, well, the New York Times had an article not too long ago, and they said prolonged use is going to lead to psychosis. Prolonged use of marijuana will knock an average of 7 IQ points off your IQ. The levels of the THC levels is in the marijuana being smoked now by the cross strains and the growing techniques is 25 times more powerful than the pot that was smoked in the 70s and 10 times as powerful as the pot that was just smoked in the 90s. So it's even the New York Times is suggesting that it's not something that's any good for you.
Well, there was a university study over in England, King's College, where they did a study of the current strength of marijuana that's being grown now, and it is a much higher THC content. And they said that 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 develop psychosis.
What's psychosis?
It's when it's a condition where, well, I happen to know a person that only smoked one time and developed that, and they believe that they were, it sounds ridiculous, but they couldn't concentrate, couldn't do anything. They thought that they were possessed demonically.
Is that what psychosis is?
It's kind of a cover-all term for any kind of mental disorders, right, Bob?
It could be schizophrenia. Could be a combination.
So am I do I have psychosis then?
It depends on who you ask, but I say no.
Let's ask Chris.
Hey, one of the interesting things too
You didn't
about
answer my question.
No, I don't think you have psychosis, Mac. No, one of the interesting things about marijuana use too is think about marijuana often gets pegged as a gateway drug, and I've heard really smart folks say that alcohol is a much worse gateway drug. And I think when you consider the environment in which both of those things are consumed, so imagine in your mind a group of 6 people in a room smoking marijuana.
Okay. There's 6 of us in this room, so I'm imagining.
So imagine that's happening.
Boy, is Ryan stoned. Look at him. His eyes are all bloodshot.
But you can imagine the environment. Now imagine 6 people in a room banging back beers or shots or doing alcohol. right? The environment is very different. Usually alcohol is consumed in a much more party and upbeat atmosphere where people are really trying to numb a lot of the woes of the world. And in party atmospheres, you get introduced to hallucinogenics, and like the ecstasy. Thank you. Easy for you guys to say. Where do you get that, by the way? No, but other kind, cocaine and other kinds of party drugs. Whereas usually marijuana users, if they go any harder, they go to something like heroin, which would be terrible, or meth. But again, having those things be illegal puts them in a category where once someone does them, they now have to go into the deep underbelly of things. It was the black market. I grew up in the time of the war against drugs. Just say no. Just say no.
Good job, Nancy Reagan.
Yeah, and it didn't stop any of my friends from saying no. But it got them connected with a dark underworld. And I think as Christians, here's the deal. We do things that are bad for us physically. We consume things that are bad for us, that aren't good for us, that aren't healthy. And we have a clear conscience about it. I don't know if that's okay, but we do. But as Christians, I think we have to have some self-discipline here. And if marijuana is legal in the United States to be used both medically for health benefits, for the oils and things like that, or for recreational use, I have to ask the question, what does it really matter to me? I've got to decide for myself, has God said that this is okay? Is this how am I when I'm under this influence? Same thing with alcohol. Look, I'm an adult. I can have as much alcohol as I want to have with no legal repercussions.
Unless you're driving.
Unless I'm driving, right? And that's only if I get caught, right? So what's to stop me from doing that? The law didn't say you can or can't do it. It didn't inspire me, but I think it takes some of the thrill out of it. Young people that are under the legal drinking age like to drink more than adults who are over the legal drinking age.
Yeah, I think if you can't have it and you're in rebellion, then
right. So I say if you legalize marijuana, you have regulation on it. You can control the THC levels because all that stuff can be regulated. And then it's at Walgreens. And then it's your choice if you want to consume it or not.
Well, there are dangers too. I mean, Colorado does have a driving per se level of THC
How do they check
in your
that?
body.
By blood?
By blood. Yeah, you can do that by blood.
Can they find that out immediately?
Well, they'd have to send it to the crime lab.
So it's not like a diabetic test where you just put a spot of blood on there.
Not at this point.
Not at this point. Not at this point.
But sure, it could be. You would imagine, right?
Right. So people have to have. There is a level that if they are caught under the influence of THC, then they'll be tried and maybe convicted like they would for alcohol.
Right. And I think alcohol is a good thing to consider. I mean, if we're gonna make damaging substances illegal, then we should make all damaging substances illegal. And then when does it stop? When did you get to the point where the state of, or at least the city of New York, wants to outlaw 44-ounce sodas because we just shouldn't be consuming that much Coca-Cola? Well, okay.
Well, but I think the thing is with alcohol, for instance, it's I've worked a lot of homicide cases, and usually alcohol is always involved. They're in domestic disputes, domestic problems where officers are shot or people are shot. They usually have alcohol in their system. So there are a lot of problems with people's behavior and how they act under the influence of alcohol. People are killed. They're injured. They fall out of windows. I'm just saying.
But we tried to make that illegal once, and that didn't go so well.
Oh, you mean prohibition?
Right.
Right. There's always going to be people that are going to, just like marijuana and other drugs.
Right,
anybody can get it,
but people can get it now.
Right.
I mean, the point is, it can be.
I wouldn't know how to buy drugs nowadays. What do you go down to 6th Avenue over there by the old home bread place? And
I'm sure you know many people that could connect you if you asked.
Really?
Sure. It's out there. It's readily available.
I remember one time when I came to your crime lab and you had a garbage bag.
Oh, yeah.
Big garbage bag full of marijuana.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole place just smelled.
Yes.
Cops have the best drugs. Confiscated.
Yeah.
They confiscate them.
All right, let's take a break. We're coming back. Don't forget that Pastor Ryan Jorgensen will be here from the Harvest Bible Chapel in the next hour, and we're going to talk about this new right to die stuff. Ooh. That gets my blood boiling. We're coming back live here on The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
.338, 22 minutes before the top of the hour. Salem Radio Network News will update us. As we have told you, Carly Fiorino has dropped out of the race. And I just don't want to be another Ted Cruz and say stuff that may not be true. But it is kind of confirmed that Christie's going to get out. Right?
If you believe the New York Times, and I'm not sure who else.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
But he's talking about it, and he was supposed to talk to his staff.
Yeah, today.
I was cruising on the internet, and I saw a headline, and I didn't read this article. Has there been more of this line? Chris Christie and Donald Trump had a long phone conversation?
I hadn't heard that.
I haven't heard that.
Okay, so there's the rumor I started. That's all I know.
And what was it about?
That's all the headline said. I meant to read it, and then I got distracted with my ADD.
Christie,
about
boy, he'd be a... But is he?
Could he be a VP? Could he go with?
Oh yeah.
Could he run with Trump?
But I'm not. Yeah, I mean, you try to get up. See the VP. What's the VP's job? The VP's job is to preside over the Senate.
Okay.
That's what he does. He provides. He
presides
over the Senate.
I thought Joe Biden did more than that.
Wishful thinking. So he's got to have some legislative experience. Obviously, Chris Christie has that. Rubio has that. Cruz would have that. Well, I guess everybody, but probably Fiorino would have that. But the best one would be Cruz or Rubio.
Yeah.
Because both of them are senators.
But I don't think either one of those would run second fiddle to Trump.
I don't know. I mean, I
can't. Cruz wouldn't. I think Cruz would lose any kind of. Cruz would lose all credibility if he ran VP to Trump.
But he would be in line for president in 8 years.
Unless he had a hit out. I'm sorry, that's not funny. I mean, in all seriousness, that guy, I love Ted Cruz or whatever, that's fine. But I can't imagine that guy playing second fiddle to Trump. And I think Cruz supporters would be upset by that. If I was a Cruz supporter, if I was a rabid Cruz supporter, and he went VP with Trump, I would not be happy.
You have to think that Trump would be listening to Cruz. Do you think he would not listen to his vice president? What do you think?
Not after he called him a cat.
No, it doesn't matter.
Oh, but that
doesn't matter.
That's just
one of the things you'll learn about Iowa caucuses. Some of the stuff what goes on in Iowa very rarely goes anywhere else, especially in politics. You know, all of a sudden you're going to see Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton just best of friends. And Bernie will be out, well, depending on who wins. If Bernie wins, Hillary will go away if he wins the nomination. But if she wins the nomination, guarantee there's money in Bernie's pocket to go out there and campaign for her.
Yeah.
To get that base psyched up. And quite frankly, he would be the best outstanding candidate for vice president. Because he's winning. He's winning the vote. I'm going to tell you right now. Oh, that sounds arrogant. I'm sorry. How do I
say it? Just go ahead and say it. I'll tell you right now. Do it.
I'm just trying to. I'm trying to be gentler and nicer in my life. But Hillary Clinton is not going to lose this. She's got superdelegates. You know what superdelegates are? Anybody who's elected to a federal office, which includes the governors. So any senator, any congressman, and any governor, not a local legislative. Brad Zahn isn't one. Peter County isn't one. But if you're elected to a federal job, which is a Senate, Congress, or a governor, you are a superdelegate, and you automatically are available to be a delegate to whomever you want. Well, the Clinton machine, there's no Bernie Sanders machine within the government. Clinton's already won this. She could lose every single primary. What does it take, 171 delegates to win?
1,700, I think.
I thought it was 270. Look at that.
270.
No, that's for the presidential election.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's electoral votes, 270.
Yeah. I just don't think there's any way Hillary Clinton's not the nominee. And that's because of the Clinton machine. It's an illegal. I put something on the internet today. It's a mob. It is a mob. The money, it's... And I don't feel so bad because I asked yesterday on the radio if there's a Democrat out there listening to this radio station, please call me. And I get disappointed nobody called me. Well, Dr. Brown did the same thing in the 1 o'clock hour on a national show with millions of listeners. He didn't get one call.
We know we have at least one, though.
One, yeah. That nice gentleman that called that day. But the Clinton machine is not going to lose this election. There's no way. There's no soul inside that woman. There's no goodness inside. She is as earthly, as fleshy as it gets. She is going to do whatever it takes to be the first woman president of the United States of America.
What about indictment?
That would stop it. I agree there. But that's going to mean Barack Obama's got to do it. Barack Obama's got to let his attorney general, let the FBI say, we want to indict her. Well, actually, the FBI wouldn't indict her. The Attorney General would indict her.
Well, the FBI would give a recommendation.
Yes.
And then the Justice Department would have to take up on that recommendation.
It's just crazy. All right. How did we get to that? We came off the break.
I don't even know.
We just can't stay away from politics.
Nah, it's the hot topic. And by the way, man, Kasich. John Kasich, coming in second in New Hampshire.
He was there 65 days, or 64 days straight. And he went to 165 town hall meetings. You're not going to lose a conservative state like New Hampshire if you're a conservative governor from Ohio and New Hampshire, not a million miles away, but close enough. In fact, I'm surprised he didn't win it. I really am.
We got on this because of the speculation whether Christie had dropped out or not.
Oh, yeah, and the VP. All right, we do have a caller, so we'll take our caller, although I don't have Facebook up, so I can't tell you who it is. So you just put him on the air, and I'll say, hey, hi, ho, ho. You're live in Max World. Who's this?
It's Paul.
Phil?
Paul.
It's Paul.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, Paul, how are you?
Just 3 words. A pardon, right? And then Nixon and Ford. The president's going to pardon Hillary. she hadn't, before anything even happens, just like happened in Nixon's world, right? And then she can go on and do whatever she wants.
Paul's got a good point. That's what, because you're right, Nixon had not been indicted yet.
Exactly. How can you pardon anybody if there's no indictment? So just figure about a month or so from now. This is my prognostication, if you will. I'll bet you it'll happen.
So tell me what you think will happen. You think the president will come out and make a declaration that Hillary is officially pardoned for anything that she may or may not have done with anything in the world?
I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Just within the next, because you got the New York mayor wanting to come in and
Bloomberg.
Bloomberg, yep. And he's waiting in the wings.
He's a Democrat.
Right. Well, he's kind of all over the place. Depends on what day it is. But that's kind of what I'm looking at. I think Hillary will be pardoned within the next 30 to 60 days for sure.
Hey, Paul, but do you think there's some negotiations that would be going on that Obama would want something out of that, like go away?
No, what Obama will want is the next president of the United States will have to literally, legally sign off on the next United Nations Secretary General. And that's the job that the Obama wants.
What if he appoints himself?
He
can't do that.
I will almost bet she will be the one with Bernie's blessing to go right in there. Because neither one of them are condemning this president for anything. They're both trying to support the guy. So that's his next step. President of the world, you can't beat that.
And you think that'll be Obama?
That will be Obama.
And Clinton will run the White House?
Oh, probably, yeah.
Who do you think will be VP on that ticket?
It'll be Bernie and her. If Bernie doesn't catch one behind the ear, that's because last time Hillary had a lawyer that was against her, the guy sat on a park bench with one behind the ear.
Yep, that's right. What was his name again?
Vince Foster?
Yeah, Vince Foster.
Yep,
that's
was
right.
Vince Foster, yep.
Paul, always enjoy your call. You keep calling in like this, I'm going to give you a place here around the table with a microphone in front of you. You better watch it.
Yeah, I enjoy that.
Yeah, well, you're welcome to come in anytime, and I really do appreciate your perspective. Thank you very much for listening, and thanks for calling.
Take care of yourself. Yep, bye-bye.
244-0077, that's the number, or you can get us on the Truth Text Service Legends hotline, talk line, text line at 809-0993. Next hour, Pastor Ryan Jorgensen on the right to die. Yep, it's a bill being introduced. Assisted suicide. Do you like it or not? We'll talk about it next, live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios.
Ten minutes before the hour of 4 o'clock. Top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then we're back with Pastor Ryan Jorgensen from Harvest Bible Chapel, and we're going to talk about end-of-life rights.
Euthanasia? Euthanasia?
Well, assisted. Oh. I mean, right now, you can go out and kill yourself if you want to, and obviously, there's no punishment. I mean, there's no legal. I mean, and here's what's even interesting. So figure this one out, Frank. Put your high IQ on this one.
Yeah.
We figured out Frank's got the highest IQ in the room.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Self-proclaimed. So it's illegal to kill yourself. Right, Robert?
Well, yeah, I suppose. I don't know that for a fact.
Well, it is. It's illegal to kill yourself.
It is?
Yeah. Well, it's not let me put it this way. There's no law that allows someone to kill someone.
Oh, that's different.
All right. No. I said that wrong. There's no law that allows me to kill myself. That would be considered murder, and I murdered myself. But yet, if you attempt suicide and you fail, there's no legal consequence. You understand what I'm saying?
You don't go to jail for attempted murder.
Attempted suicide, yeah, which I...
Mandatory to evaluation.
I don't know. I don't know. Because a lot of times people, and I'm sorry I know too much about this subject, but I do. A lot of times a attempted suicide is nothing more than a cry for help. Now, if you're willing to attempt suicide to get attention, you've got my attention. So you don't have to attempt suicide. You look at me and say, Mac, I think I'm going to kill myself. I am not going to look at you and say, oh, isn't that sweet? Call me and let me know how that works out. I'm going to say, all right, sit your butt down. We're going to lock the door. We're going to talk until I'm convinced that you're not going to do this anymore. I'm trained to do that. But now what they want to do is they kill me. Oh, now don't get a big smile on your face over that. Let me deal with somebody who likes me. Bob, you could, and he gets a smile. Is there anybody here that won't smile at that? Everybody's smiling. But what the bill they're trying to pass is that you could help me die.
Right.
I don't know if that's anything from inject me or get me the gun or hold the... I don't know what you have to do in that. I don't think you have to be Jack Kevorkian and get the...
There was a cocktail of 3 drugs that funnels into one, and...
Yeah, and I think those drugs are available legally, so you could go out and buy them, and I don't know. I don't know. But why couldn't you go to an anesthesiologist and say, take me out? I mean, there's an industry here. Think of the industry here.
It is a sick industry. We have it at the beginning of life.
Yeah, right. Right.
And I think it comes down to, for those of us that listen to Ravi Zechariah's broadcast today, actually, he did you hear him today? He quoted, read a large section from
Leviticus.
Abolition of Man by C.S. Lewis, right?
That's right.
And he talked about we have developed men with no chests. Basically, we've got these materialistic thinkers out there, which we all really participate in to some degree, that we forget our emotions, we forget our soul, we forget the uniqueness, the beauty, the enchanting sort of mystical part of the human person. We've poo-pooed that away with our materialist worldview, our atheist, our secular worldview, where we don't imagine it anymore, where we don't We don't hope, we don't dream, we don't pretend, we don't play, we don't feel, we don't love, we don't hate, we don't have any of the emotions of our chest. All we have is the gut where we eat by and the head by which we think, but we have no spirit and we have no emotion. Once we've done away with that, then a human being has been reduced to something no different than an animal. And when an animal has either an animal has no use or has ceased its value, you put it out of its misery. And once we start to conceive of human beings in that same way, then it makes sense to kill them if you don't want them, or kill yourself when you're done. And that's not what God wants. God loves each and every one of us. He created us majestically, beautifully, and with a soul and a spirit that lives on forever, and he loves us, each one of us. And so taking our own life is not an advisable option, obviously.
Bob's on the case here. He's got the answer to Mac's question.
Well, here it says that currently there is no law against the act of committing suicide in the United States.
Okay. So if you attempt to commit suicide, then it's not. Okay, I was wrong. And you shouldn't be arrested or anything like that.
Right.
If you commit it?
But what?
You mean if you commit suicide?
If I attempt to commit it, there's no crime they can charge
and
me.
Nobody does. Nobody does get charged.
Right.
Right. Well, and the really sad thing is, I think we're going to be talking about this second hour, is that this right to die thing, they're trying to get this passed right here in the state of Iowa.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's the point. That our local government is trying to get this on the books here in our state. And our listeners need to be sick and woken up by that.
You know why? To save Obama's rear on the Obamacare. Because if we got less people to take care of, then it's more affordable.
Well, Frank's right, but I think for a different reason. I can tell you who's driving this bill are the insurance companies. Why? Because if you off yourself, a lot of life insurances won't cover, A. B, there goes hospice care. There goes that end-of-life care that's so expensive. I mean, it's just driven by the almighty dollar. Hey, I just booked a fun guest for next Wednesday, and I want to tell you about her. She is her name is Crystal Wright, Wright, Crystal with a C.
Conservative chick?
Yeah, the conservative black chick.
Oh, cool.
This woman will blow you away. I mean, she ought to run for president. Now, she's not going to, thank heavens. But she is in Washington, D.C. She was raised by a college professor and a dentist. And she is she calls herself the conservative black chick. I mean, that's her handle. And I heard her the other day. She did an hour-long interview on C-SPAN, and she has got it together. She can explain to you the black community and why they do what they do. And finally, somebody with the same color of skin is talking about the things that we all know, but when we say it, we're called a racist. Why are there so many young black men in prison? Well, it's the white guy's fault. No, she'll say, it's because they do most of the crime. The other thing she said, and I think somebody brought this up on the show once, in 2013, there were more black babies aborted in New York City than there were born. Now think about that for a minute. In 2013, there were more black babies aborted in New York City than were born. Guess Margaret Sanger was right, huh?
The black race is in decline. The black race is in decline, population-wise.
Well, anyway, so she's going to be on. She's only got about a half hour for us. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think that's next Wednesday. I'm pretty sure it's next Wednesday. All right, we're going to take a break. And Salem Radio Network News at the top of the hour. Then Pastor Ryan Jorgensen from Harvest Bible Chapel will be in, and we're going to talk about this end-of-life bill that's in Iowa and spreading across the nation. Your right to help someone die. We'll talk about it live here on The Truth.